Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. I'm Amy Shannon, but you can call me Amy. Thank you for listening. Hello and welcome, and I hope all is well with you. I'm Amy, and today I'm talking about Talia Haven's books. I've discussed her books on the podcast before, and there are several of them. And actually, I have been reading work by Talia Haven since, pretty much the beginning of when I started Amy's Bookshelf Reviews. Today, I'm going to discuss two of her stories. She writes short stories, and the genre varies from story to story, which shows a very, an author who can write with different genres and write very well. And also the fact that when you're writing short stories, it's not as easy as one may think, because you've got to put a lot of detail into your story, but also make sure that it always has, like any story, introduction, a beginning, middle, and end, basically. Writing short stories, you're taking a story you might have in your head and you're putting it on paper, and you want to make sure that everything is correct. All the stories linked together. If there's more than one plot, you want to make sure that even if your book is a cliffhanger to another story that you're going to write, or it's multiple parts, you still want to make sure that there is some kind of closure that wraps up the story. And if you're going to add a story, because you're telling it in parts, that you're not leaving the writer hanging. This is different than, say, putting a short story or a story into a magazine and having multiple parts over multiple issues of the magazine. Because, it's kind of like when you're watching television and it says to be continued, and then you have to wait for the next magazine. That's basically a serial story, and not necessarily a group of short stories that are either connected or just within the same particular series. So, if we go to Talia Haven's sweet little Princess Irene, it's actually a horror, and I thought it was so interesting, and it gives you something about, like, Irene. There's not, Irene is, basically, she is a child who wishes for something. She wishes that she was the oldest child, and you don't realize until she wishes it, and these three voices, you're not sure exactly who they are, but they're sinister. And Irene learns what happens when she makes a wish about her sister, and then something else happens. It's like Irene is the narrator, and so it's in her perspective. She's angry with her sister. She's so mad. She's, I wish she was never born. I wish I was the oldest, And then there's something about a scent. There's a scent of lavender, and if you are familiar with that, while you're reading the story, you can actually, I could actually almost smell the lavender that Irene was smelling, and it makes you wonder why is this an important scent. And it's something that partakes into the story. It's very emotional, and I think it also had a moral. Really be careful what you wish for. If you look at the book description on Amazon, it just says, envious Irene makes a wish in an enchanted wood. So there you go. That's just the gist of the story. I gave it 4 stars, and I found that it was just a great little tale. In sweet little Princess Irene, the reader's introduced to Irene along with voice number 1, voice number 2, and then the third voice. I'm not kidding. Irene is angry at her sister Lenora, and Irene wishes she was the oldest child. At first, you're not sure why they were fighting and why Irene was so mad at her sister. And then the unthinkable happens. I'm a big fan of Talia Haven, and read whatever this author writes. The author has a grand imagination and talent for showing the story. Irene is also the narrator, giving the story a unique and interesting perspective. It's a short story, but it tells a lot of details into the story. When reading anything this author writes, always find something else about her story that you like, about her storytelling abilities. And you can get a real sense, spelled just like I wanted to, S-C-E-N-T-S, of the story as lavender is a present scent, even when Irene tries to get rid of it. It's heartfelt and emotional and very unpredictable. And as I mentioned before, it is there is a moral of the story, and that is be careful what you wish for. So Irene, Sweet Little Princess Irene, it's a very quick read, even when you just take in each and every word. So I'm going to move on to the next story that I was read from Talia Haven, Umaka Orr. And if you read about, if you go to her, Talia Haven's Amazon store, all of her stories are there. They're short stories. They're worth the read. You can go to Amazon.com and you can just type in Talia Haven, Talia, Haven, Haven, and it'll bring you to her author profile, and you can find more of her stories. And I have more of her stories that I have read, and I will be discussing them in future shows. And this one is Umaka Orr, and I'm just going to read a very simple part of the first chapter of it, and just to give you that teaser that will make you want to pick up this book and read it. They're easy reads, they're simple, and they make you think. So this one is an excerpt from Talia Haven's Umaka Orr, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is not the sun of fear that fills the brightly lit cramped hall, but anxiety, as 17 of us are escorted by guards to the waiting room. One by one, we casually shuffle through the door, encouraged to keep moving by a hard glance from our lead guard. Benches, dirty white-lined washed stone walls that are just a shade darker. The room cramped, the walls bare, except for a lone clock. One of the first in line, I have my choice of where to sit and watch as the last of us enter. The steel door gives a familiar mechanical whoosh as it closes. At last, we are alone. I, along with 16 others, sniff the air. Anxiety is still there, but not as strong. Each of us searching for a familiar scent, a male to my right, a female to my left, each of them doing the same. Searching for someone they know, and by the smell of the mood, everyone in this room is disappointed. A male to my right leans back, resting against the wall. I follow his lead, trying to look relaxed and unworried as the coolness of the rough stone wall seeps through the back of the black jumpsuit we were all given to wear. It is as uncomfortable as the bench, but it's a good spot. I can see the clock. So here we all sit, silent, dressed in black that stands against all this white. The second hand is silent as it ticks the time. The familiar whishing sound of the steel door opening breaks the silence. Mentally, I forced myself not to take my eyes away from that hypnotic second hand. A name, not mine, gets called. The sour smell of fear and pity is replaced by the light, calming scent of relief. It fills up the room as the first occupant rises from where he's seated and is taken away. My eyes are still focused on that clock. In a room this small, it's easy to overhear the low conversations taking place. I am sure they will find that this is a mistake, someone whispers. My family is not that way, whispers another. Continuing to myself, I watch as time passes across the face of that old-fashioned geared clock. The door opens, and one by one fellow occupants are led away. Now there are just a couple of us. I tear my eyes away from the clock, just to see how many of us are left. 4. My luck will soon run out. On one of the bunk benches across from me sits an older female. She, like me, looks like a purist. I discreetly sniff. Even from this distance, with all the people and scents that have filled this room, she smells like a purist. Long sleeves cover her tats, and I wonder how old she is. She talks to no one, acting like the rest of us that she does not belong here. Like the rest of us, she was hoping her actions will make the guard think she is here by mistake. Another female sits on the bench against the opposite wall. Like the first, she looks pure, and I'm sure that if I sniff, she will smell pure. Even with her tats covered by long sleeves, I think that she is a little older than me. The last of us in the room is a chanter, neither male nor female. The chanters are created. It sets the rest of us faced, marked with old disfiguring scratches like scars. So that is just the beginning of Umaka Orr, and it's a short and unique sci-fi tale. In Umaka Orr, the reader's introduced to Umaka Orr, who's going by another name. I am a big fan of Talia Havens and been reading her short stories for years. This one is a little longer than some of her short stories, but it's a grand story. At first, me as the reader I wasn't sure exactly what was going on in the first few paragraphs, but with that, it made me want more. I wanted to know why Umaka tried to hide her identity. Talia Haven not only tells a story, but shows it with words as well. Scent is not just about what the characters can see, but what and how they smell. Scent can show a liar immediately. She identifies other people or beings in the room with her, and there is that sense of fear in the world. Talia Haven has built a great world with interesting characters. She makes the readers wonder and want to read more so we can find the answers. I must say I found this to be one of her best short stories that I have read so far, and she has written so many in various genres. And I must say, the ending, I did not see that coming. So that is my review of Umaka Orr by Talia Haven. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope this makes you want to pick up some of Talia Haven's stories. They are a great read. So mostly they're available in digital and very simple. You just go to her Amazon profile page and you can buy as many books as you want. If you're an author who wants your book to be on the show, go to amysbookshelfreviews.com/podcast for more information. If you're an author and you want your book reviewed, go to amysbookshelfreviews.com for more information. Thank you, and talk to you next week. This has been Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Thank you for listening. And always, be kind and stay safe. Thank you.